Well, the last topic, I mentioned the tourist like Kris, you know, with the puppet with the feathers at the side, and I explained that those Kris, that a lot of people experience some negative energy with those Kris, and I'm talking about, I know more than 12, 13 persons who told me exactly the same. People who don't know each other, who don't come out of the Kris world. The fathers or grandfathers, they were soldiers for the Dutch army. They went to Indonesia and they bought Kris like this. And a lot of those Kris, well, for people who know, they can see that the Kris is constructed totally wrong. The grip and the head of the lion are actually on the wrong side. It should be something like this. And a lot of people they don't come from the Kris world, so they don't know about all the traditions of the Kris, but they also say the same, that they feel some negative energy about those Kris. And so I wanted to start a topic about black magic, negative energy, the Kris, etc. And let me show you something, because my opinion, it looks like the Indonesians put some kind of negative energy in a Kris and sold it as a Kris, as a souvenir. But actually they bought something like a Trojan Kris. Because even 2 generations after the soldiers went there, their grandchildren experienced the same. Sometimes they were unlucky, sometimes they had some misfortune in life, and they put the Kris away and it was gone. First of all, let me show you something about this Kris, and you can clearly see that it's a real Kris. You see, it's a real Kris. And you can put a negative energy in a Kris and then sell it to a soldier. He takes it home, and for generations they're not lucky. And I'm not talking about one story. I got, let's say, 10 of those Kris over here, and also someone, Eric, responded on my post and also told me that he had the same experience with those Kris. Well, I also explained this puppet with the feathers on the side. It's an alifuru. It are the old people who lived in the islands, like the Papua New Guinea, like the Aborigines. And you can see the same puppet on the back of the motorcycle club Satudara. You also see the Indian-like person with the feathers. So it also goes back to the first people who lived in Indonesia. Well, black magic and the Kris, that's a topic. Because not that long ago, somebody posted something on a Indo community site in Facebook, and hundreds of stories came out of the Kris about black magic, about Goena Goena. So I want to tell something about black magic, Goena Goena, and what it is and where it comes from. Let me start with the story of my grandmother. I was very small, and when you are young, you're very sensitive to all those beautiful stories about ghosts, about a country you don't know on the other side of the world. And she told me a story that at one time the family Kris Slamet. So the family Kris, his name is Kiai Slamet, so that's clear. But suddenly they heard like a thief was running around the house. And well, some big boys lived over there, and what did the big boys do? They slept outside in what we call a bulsak. Bulsak is some kind of mattress, and they slept outside, but there was nothing. So they came into the house again, and again they heard something walking around. So again, the boys of the family slept outside, wanted to catch the thief, you know, and it didn't work because there was no thief. My grandmother said, oh, I think we need to do jamasan, washing of the Kris. She called the dukun came, he maintained the Kris, and it was gone. So what did I learn of that? First of all, I believe in the Kris, because when you're young, you take over the fears and respect of your elders. When your mother is afraid of spiders and she starts screaming when she sees a spider, then you take it over. You make it part of yourself. And that's why I strongly believe in the Kris, because I'm raised with that idea of the Kris. And I'm very sensitive of those beautiful Indonesian mystical stories, you know. So I think the most important thing, if you really have a Kris, and I also have, let's say that during this time, the Kris that I got from my father over there, when he needed maintenance and I didn't keep myself strongly to all the dates, the holy dates, like Suro or Tumpek Landep, suddenly it's like somebody's walking around the house. You hear somebody knocking, you hear things on the door, you hear footsteps. It's the Kris. And if you do not give the Kris the energy, the Kris will take its energy. It's quite simple, because a ghost is, let's say, hungry. He first warns his owner that he needed some attention, because otherwise he's going to be neglected. And before doing so, you see, for instance, flowers, that the flowers from the plants start hanging. At first you see it on the green of your house, and then it should be a sign, okay, I need to wash my Kris and give him sajen, give him offerings, give him energy. So the first thing has nothing to do with black magic, but simply your own mistake. You forgot to maintain the Kris. Well, it doesn't happen to me anymore, because I'm very precise on all the dates and all the offerings, like Jumat Kliwon, like Tumpak Landep, like all the holy days, Suro Kliwon. The Tuesday, also very important. I give offerings to the Kris, but also sometimes when I'm thankful, I put the offering, sometimes quite simple, you know. I take some fruit, I put some fruit there with some incense, with some coffee, with some tea, and that's enough. It don't have to be very big. But I also started with the story, there are Kris with a negative energy. Now, how can you protect yourself against negative energy, black magic, Goena Goena? Well, let's first start with the word Goena Goena. If you talk about, quite simple. If you call the word 2 times, it's multiple. Like child, anak, children, anak-anak, book, buku, books, buku-buku. So you say the word 2 times and it is multiple. So Goena Goena, you're talking about Guna. What's a Guna? Guna is the energy coming from Hindu Buddhism. Okay, Hindu Buddhism, there we go again. In Cambodia and Indonesia, there were the only parts in the world where you got some kind of infusion of both religions. That's why they call it Hindu Buddhism. It's a Shivaism and Buddhism that came together, and that's quite unique in Asia, because it only happened for a part in Cambodia and for the biggest part in Indonesia. So it means that Buddha and Shiva, they say that's the avatar. You know, avatar is when it's coming back, you know, like this is the avatar. Here we go, for Vishnu, you know, and it's actually the first king of Indonesia sitting on top of the Garuda. Most people know this statue here, this statue. So avatar means that it's coming from some kind of God energy, and they say that Shiva and Buddha, that they come from the same source. It's the same energy. Talking about avatar, did you know that in all the Hindu temples there's also a statue of Buddha? There's also something people do not know, because if you look at the 10 avatars of Vishnu, then the 9th avatar is Buddha. The 8th is, I believe, Krishna. Don't shoot me. And the 9th is Buddha. So in every Hindu temple you already have a statue of Lord Buddha. Okay, that's a little sidestep. How to protect against black magic? Well, you can wear your amulets and Akabahar. This is Akabahar Putih, the white. You've got the red, the black and the white. So this Akabahar, when you wear it left, it's for protection against black magic. If you wear it right, it's for your bones. It's for your, when you've got something like a disease on your joints of your bones, you know, then you can use the Akabahar on the right. So I've got it left. It's protection against black magic, negative energy. There are some krises you can use, like the kris with a wenkon. If you look at the energy of the kris and take the center of the kris, then you can see, this is my most precious kris, you know. The line around it, it's a wenkon. It's to protect the energy. If you go at the center of the kris, and let's say that this is the center, then you see it's protected by some kind of line. You see it also by wenkon, but sometimes you also got a little part here on the bottom. Wait a minute, I've got one kris here to show you. And also with those kris, they give you protection. It's some kind of general protection. And let me see, it's this kris. Well, this is kris I did not do. Sometimes I leave a kris the way it is, you know, I do nothing with it, because you can say restore it. But I got this kris and I don't want to make any mistake with it. Well, if you look at the bottom of the kris, then you can see that the central part is guarded with a structure over it, and that's to protect. But it's some kind of general protection. And you also can see it on the palm. This one has a Rojo Gondolo, you know, a person on the bottom over here. And so this is a spiritual kris. What was I telling you? Oh yeah, about the kris. So the kris with a wenkon, you keep the kris here. How do I have protection from it? Well, you can link the spirit of the kris with a ring. It's not a smooth ring like this. When the rings are very smooth and, you know, shiny, because there are rings that are a little bit open. A stone is never open, but just to give you some idea. And the spirit, so let's say the double spirit of that kris over there is inside of the ring. So you can have some amulets to protect yourself, but it will not always work. The best way to protect is a tombak. The tombak and the tombak trisura and the normal tombak, that are the real protectors. And this is Kiai Pelindung. It's a tombak coming from the palace of Yogyakarta. And you can also see that under the structure you see a line around it as protecting it. But tombak are real protectors. So if you want to look for a real protector of your house, also in the kratons, you can see that the tombak is the actual, not the kris, but the tombak is the actual protector. And this is a very high kris coming from the kraton from Yogyakarta, you know. I like this tombak, it's very nice. Kiai Pelindung, that's the name of this tombak. Okay, so you can use amulets, you can use the kris, you can use tombak. The most powerful way of protecting yourself, okay, also, yeah, this is also, this is not a woman's kris, this is just an amulet kris, and also kris with this palmer, with those lines, you know, is protecting against black magic and negative energies. And you can look at it from different ways. Sometimes you've got kris that will confuse your enemy. So there are different ways of protecting yourself against negative energy. You can confuse your enemy, so you go to the source. You can close your door that nothing comes in. and maybe even more than a Kris, as protection, is graveyard dust. Now, what's graveyard dust? Graveyard dust is dirt coming from a graveyard. And why is that so powerful? Because the energy of people who are already died is a very good protection. So I've got two of them. This is from the grave of my father, and this one I bought on internet. Quite simple. It's coming from Azure Green. You can see the name here, Azure Green. And this is a lot. I can tell you, this is a lot. They call it graveyard dirt, but if you Google with graveyard dust, you can also read that this is the most powerful way you can make an amulet, put it in some kind of bag. You know, do I have an example? Oh yeah, like put it in a bag, put it with you. You can put it on the entry of your door, of the windows, put a little bit of graveyard dust and no negative energy will come into your house. So these are just, I'm afraid that when talking about this, that this will not be the last topic, because when you talk about the Kris, people always think about negative energy, and you have to understand that when new religions come, they always try to mix with the old tradition just to get in trust with the people, but also that in some cases you will see that they make the old religion like, well, it's not good, it's something like black magic, and like Goena Goena, the Gunas are Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. And now Goena Goena means black magic. Well, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva have nothing to do with black magic, I can tell you. Just Google with the word Goena and you will find all the information. That's something interesting, you know, when your auntie or your neighbor tells you, well, Goena Goena is bad, black magic, then you believe it. But almost nobody takes the computer, Googles with the word Goena to find out what Goena really is. And it's the three gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. So now I get to the end point. The best protection against negative energy, against black magic, is simply believe. Believe in the gods of Indonesia. Believe. And it doesn't matter if you believe in Allah, if you believe in the Quran, if you believe in Hinduism, Japanese Hinduism. If you believe, then you've got the best protection against negative energy. And I want to end this story actually with these wise words. If you simply buy a Kris, if you simply call a mantra, are you serious? Do you think that that will help you? Just by buying it and not believing? I don't think it's that simple. But if in your heart you really believe in the energies of Nusantara, of Indonesia, and you really believe that the Kris will protect me, and that in my case you believe in the Gunuan and going further in life, you know, by reincarnation and really believing in the Kris, that's the best protection. So if you want to have good protection against black magic or negative energy, give over to the Japanese religion and be a good person in the things that you do.